Today, let's talk about the Outlands, that flat, disc-shaped piece of land located in the center of the multiverse. It's part of the Planescape campaign setting, and it's also the physical location of Sigil, which resides atop of a spire in the exact center of the Outlands. They're kind of interesting to me, the Outlands, because they have a calculated radius, but also seem to be infinite. The outermost ring of the Outlands, of the circle that is the Outlands, has gates or portals that will take you to the other outer planes. Now, because of this, creatures can move from one outer plane to the Outlands and then visit another outer plane. So there are cities and people that live around these gates, which have created gate towns, which leaves you, the dungeon master or player, with a bunch of interesting locations for adventures to happen. Hello everybody, Jordan here, the PH is silent, and this video is the second half of a gate town overview. So if you're curious about the top half of the gate towns within the Outlands, please check the link in the top right corner or down below to be taken to the first video. Also, I'll have a link to some of the videos on the outer planes in case you want to know where all of these gate towns take you. But today we talk about the darker gate towns, the lower half of the gate towns. And the bulk of the information for this video came from the 2nd edition D&D book, A Player's Primer to the Outlands. So if you want to utilize that, I would highly recommend it. There's also the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons book by Wizards of the Coast called Sigil and the Outlands. It has gate town information as well. Some of it is updated from that previous 2e book, and some of it remains the same. So let's dive in. We'll start with Xaos. Yes, chaos, but it's spelled X-A-O-S, but it's pronounced Chaos. I believe I've mispronounced it in the past, which has been the only time that I have ever done that. The name is random. It's always written as Xaos, but according to the 2e book, it can be pronounced Chaos or Axos or Oxa or Bob. Xaos is the gate town to Limbo, and on the Great Wheel, it's located in the chaotic neutral area. And Limbo is the land of chaos, pure chaos. And the gate town Chaos is a reflection of that. There isn't a map of chaos because the mind is unable to accurately describe it, or the features keep changing. We're not really sure which. The surrounding area leading up to the gate town Chaos is full of rocks, swamps, pits, and fields, generally all different kinds of terrain and climate. The gate town to Limbo changes within the city, but it's never hidden. It might be a large blue portal or a teddy bear held by a small bat. Despite the randomness in both shape and location, a person can always find the gate to Limbo. Now, Slotty, who actually make their home on the plane of Limbo, have created a small settlement here, hoping to push further into the Outlands. Next is Bedlam, which is the gate town to Pandemonium. Pandemonium made popular in the adventure Rod of Seven Parts and recently featured in Vecna Eve of Ruin. The player's primer to the Outlands describes Bedlam as a city with bad parts and worse parts. The city is in a crater or bowl that kind of fans out. So the base of this fan is the gate to Pandemonium. It's a large black obsidian tower with an enormous humanoid hand on top that seems to be reaching towards the sky. The tower might be the remains of a forgotten deity, or perhaps it was carved long ago by creatures of chaos. Now, the gate to Pandemonium is inside the tower, and the terrible winds from Pandemonium flow out from the gate, sweeping around and out to Bedlam. Gnolls, bugbears, and humans live in and around this gate town. Now, the Bleak Cabal, which is a faction in Sigil, also has a large foothold here. So some addition changes from 2nd edition to 5th edition. In the 2nd edition, the ruler of Bedlam was a wizard named Theric Bleakshadow, but as of 5e, apparently he attempted to stop the winds coming from Pandemonium using magic. This spell that he crafted backfired, and the Pandemonium winds built up so much pressure that they shot out a cloud giant named Cirrus the Silent. And also with that, it ended the wizard's hope of blocking the winds from Pandemonium. Now, this giant communicates telepathically and has since replaced Theric Bleakshadow as the current keeper of Bedlam. The entry point to the Abyss is Plague-Mort. Plague-Mort is a collection of gray shacks and ruins which become walls of metallic tiles the closer one gets to the gate. A large keep in the center, called Blightsteel, is surrounded by a moat of black ichor, and inside, the ruler of Plague-Mort is known as the Arch-Lector. This is a title held in earlier editions by a male tiefling named Bairi Yarmoril, but as of 5e, a Barrior known as Bex holds this title. This is not surprising, and the position has possibly changed several times. Most of the townfolk in Plague-Mort are despicable and plot against the higher-ups. So the gate to the abyss is found on the wall of the keep. The center and rightmost archway lead into the Arch-Lector's keep, but the left one takes you to the abyss. Now, specifically, the first layer of the abyss, which is known as the Plane of Infinite Portals. Now, Demon Ichor, demons, or Demon Lord influence seem to push out of the portal into Plague-Mort occasionally, and the Drow of Greyhawk travel through the abyss to and from Plague-Mort pretty often, bringing supplies and more to their Greyhawk cities. You might check out the adventure Vault of the Drow for more information on that. Next is Curst. Curst is a walled city which at the center holds the gate to Carcery. Carcery has 6 layers and was arranged in a circular pattern on the top of one another, so the gate town of Curst somewhat reflects this. There are 5 major roads that loop around the city, so from an aerial view, it would look like ripples from a stone that was tossed into a pond. Each road having a smaller diameter than the last, ultimately leading to the central gate. The wall around the city is covered in razorvine, which is a common lower plains weed. It's a weed that can be found in Sigil and other locations that has razor-sharp stems and thorns that create a formidable environmental hazard. The gate itself is a 4-pillared arch made entirely of black razorvine. So Curst can be a place for people to start anew. Their previous life will be forgotten, but break the rules in Curst. The punishment is to be thrown into the gate and live out your days in Carcery. Hopeless is the gate town to Hades, the Grey Wastes. It is a dreary, sad town of weathered gray buildings. The town seems to take all the life out of the people. The locals are neither friendly nor spiteful. They just exist. Arriving at Hopeless, you'll walk through the red archway of stone that is carved to look like a howling face. It is the only color that really stands out here in Hopeless. A spiral street leads characters to the center of the town. It is very much a spiral into hopelessness. The gate itself is a large pit that bubbles up black ichor. Locally known as the Wishless Well, anyone who uses the gate will arrive in Hades covered in this sticky tar-light ichor substance. Hopeless is ruled by the High Cardinal Thingol the Mocking. She claims to be a wizard who escaped her now destroyed primary material world. We don't know much about that. And she enforces her will with 7 identical beholders who follow her every command. No one knows how she came to find such loyal, chaotic creatures, but one rumor is that she traded her spellcasting abilities for them. A trade to some dark and unknown power. Torch is next, the gate town to Gehenna, built upon volcanic spires that rest in a blood-red marsh. These active volcanoes shoot up smoke and gas into the air. The molten rock gives off heat and light to the citizens of Torch. It's a den of thieves. It's for greedy and cruel people. Everyone in Torch is someone to be taken advantage of. The gate itself is a large ruby that hovers 100 feet above one of the volcanic spires. Now, it's easy to fly up there, but you have to avoid the toxic atmosphere. You touch the gate and will find yourself in Gehenna. The city is ruled by the Council of All, a now family business which is expanded by invite only. At the lowest point of Torch is the Bloodied Marsh, and it's just a diseased, infested waters that inflict curses and magical plagues. Second to last is Ribcage, which is a fun one because you can see it from the map. There's just a giant ribcage. It's just right there. And it is actually ribs from some dead god, but instead it's a mountain range that seems to have curved in on itself. Ribcage is the gate town to the Nine Hells. The town itself resides in the center of these rib-looking formations. The gate to the Nine Hells is a spinning pillar of red light. It will deposit you to Avernus, which is the first layer of the Nine Hells. But if you know the secret, you can bend the gate to take you into any of the layers of the Nine Hells. Now, in 2nd edition, Lord Quintel Parax ruled the city. He was a tiefling fighter and mage who created a council of senators for the appearance of fair rulings, but really, Parax controlled everything. In 5e, the ruler is Duchess Zelza Zerkbane, a succubus who masquerades as a tiefling. It isn't known what happened to Lord Quintel, but Zelza is a fierce lawyer. She wears a suit and tie with a subservient mimic briefcase. She will destroy most of her enemies through legal proceedings.
Objection!
And finally, Rigus, the gate town that leads to Acheron. Its appearance is more of a military fortress than a town. 8 octagonal iron walls divide the city with siege weapons anchored all around it. Soldiers reside here. They're training and preparing for an unending war. All creatures have some form of military rank in Rigus, with the 6 crown generals being the ones who control it. These generals are actually spirits who can't leave Rigus. They exist here and in death giving orders to the generals below them. The most well-known and feared crown general is Nagaro, a female warrior from Kryn. Another is Brag, a hobgoblin from Toril, and the actual gate to Acheron is deep within the fortress under the hill in a hangar. So the portal itself looks like an enormous cat eye with a bone structure, and to gain access you'll need permission from the generals, but also make your way through the mile-long staircase down to its location. You should note that there is an elevator that was installed, but you will need even more favor from the Crown Generals to get that working. But it could be a fun adventure to heist yourself into the secure facility to hopefully sneak into Acheron. And those were the remaining gate towns. I put timestamps down below if you ever need to hop around from town to town. Thank you so much to my patrons who keep these videos going. If you would like to become a patron, head over to patreon.com/Jordan with a PH in the middle. Subscribe to the channel for more D&D lore, and click the link to visit my second channel for tabletop RPG news, indie reviews, and more. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next episode.